Welcome boys. Okay, in this video we're going to be installing our new lights into our Crown Vic. These will be the replacement LEDs that are going to remove the incandescent halogens. So this will be its own video. We will not be installing the light bar yet. So let's replace these, and then we'll wait until nighttime and then give her a little bit of a test and adjust them proper, and then see what kind of improvements we have made. Okay, this is going to be pretty easy. Just twist to the unlock position, lift up our little cover here. That out of the way, we have access to our headlight sockets. We already have our beastly wiring harness in here, so this is going to be pretty easy. Alright, so we have to lift up on these two guys. One. This one looks like it's going to be really fun. Very crusty. Actually, that wasn't so bad. Alright. Let's lift those things up and out of the way. Whole lens will go forward. Rotate our little ring to get this out of here. Okay, with our headlight lens out of the way, let's get that thing out of there and put it in here. There we go. Okay. It's in there, and then looks like that needs to go like this. And in. Alright, let's put it back. Ready? Buka. Alright, in shits and giggles, let's see how different it looks. Well, I'd say there's a little bit of a difference, boys. This is going to be great when it comes nighttime later. And that's high beams. And it will, of course, be the same procedure for the other side, so I'll just knock that out off camera, and then we'll cut back nighttime. Okay, boys, so I'm going to go ahead and narrate over this part, and then we're going to Tarantino this bean footage a little bit. So I have the car parked on level ground, perpendicular to this wall ahead of it. Now, you can see there is a piece of tape off in the distance. There's actually 3 pieces of tape. The horizontal piece of tape is exactly 25 feet from the front of the car. You know, ditto for the two vertical ones. The two vertical ones you see on the left and right are actually the center part of the headlight. So where the headlight bulb intersects on the horizontal and vertical axis, the X and Y axis, for each headlight. And you'll see there's like a really long vertical, what appears to be line right in the middle of the horizontal part of that blue tape. So I centered the vehicle, so I got the exact center of the vehicle right on that line. And then I put the blue horizontal tape exactly the level of the headlights. So that was 27 inches, I believe, off the ground. And then what I did was measured from the center of the car how far it was to each headlight bulb, and then that's where I've got the two vertical lines of tape. So now we are adjusting the headlight. I have a piece of cardboard on the one headlight beam, or covering the one headlight as I'm adjusting the beam. So I have cardboard over the passenger headlight, and then I am adjusting the driver's side headlight. That way I only see one beam at a time. But I'll show you exactly what I'm doing with that. So we're going to Tarantino it and head over to the day shift.
Okay, boys, and in the middle of that, I think it will be better if I just show you at night the movement of the beam, since that's going to be easier to see than it would be during the day. And on this daytime clip, I'm going to show you what I was doing. So you want this tool right here, this headlight adjustment tool for Ford. And with that, this thing, one side is tighten, it ratchets in the tighten position, the other side it ratchets in the loosen position. So you have to figure out which side is what when you go down there to adjust here and here. And on Panzer Platform's channel, he was nice enough to include this little drawing. But you just need to know that on the driver's side, the side above the one above the headlight is your vertical, loosen to raise, and then down here next to the turn signal is your horizontal, loosen to move right. So in the case of mine on this driver's side, I did have to loosen this to elevate, and I had to do the opposite. Mine was actually to the right, so I needed to tighten it to go left. And it is important to note that even with this tool being designed for this, there will come a point where you wouldn't be able to get your tool out of here. And so if you get to that point, you are going to have to lift up on this retainer and then either adjust it some more or pull your tool out. If you want to adjust it some more from there, you're going to have to use some vice grips or pliers or something to hold this plastic piece while you rotate that threaded stud there. And then clamping it back in may prove a little difficult, so that's just some pro tip advice there. And then once you get it aimed where you need it to, what I was doing also is whenever I was doing the driver's side one, I had the passenger light covered with a piece of cardboard so it wouldn't project its beam. I would only see this one. And as you can see, one thing I don't like cosmetically is my phone ringing. And one thing I don't like is my OCD bothers me that this is no longer flush and that this pokes out a little bit to have moved the headlight to the left by tightening that in. So I may, even though the beams wouldn't line up exactly where they need to, I am considering loosening that and then bringing this bulb in a little just for cosmetic's sake. But that's more of a me problem because I'm OCD like that. And then on this side, the elevation part is the same. This has to loosen. You will need to make sure you can get your tool out, or pop that up, push the light forward, then get your tool out, and then put your retaining clip back in. And now, when it comes to moving the beam on the x-axis, it's backwards on this. So whereas we had to tighten to move to the left on this one, I also had to loosen, as you can see, just like here. And that's because both beams were aimed to the right. So passenger was to the right, driver was to the right. On that side, in order to move it left, we had to tighten. But on this side, in order to move it to the left, we had to loosen on the x-axis. Just keep that in mind, and then the same rules apply. Just be careful that you have enough room here to get your tool out when you start getting close. And if you need to hold, if it still spins, the plastic piece in here, just kind of clamp it, you know, with some pliers or something, just to keep some tension on it so this thing will spin freely. Alright, so we'll move back to the dark and finish this video out. And we're also going to do a little bit of a comparison. There's going to be a spot on 44 where I have a previous dash cam clip of me driving with the halogen incandescents, and then we're going to compare it with that when I drive on the same stretch of 44, this time with the LEDs.
Okay, boys, and now we're back at night. So what you want to do is get your driver's side beam kind of in the lower left area of the 90 degrees where the vertical and horizontal pieces of tape intersect with each other. So as you can see, I'm going to try to adjust the elevation, and then I have to move it to the left a bunch, and then we're going to stop right when that beam gets in that lower left area of that intersecting tape. And then ditto for the passenger side. So I've now moved the cardboard back over to the driver's side to cover that beam, and look how low the passenger beam is. So now we have to raise it up, and then this is where I figure out the beam starts moving to the right because I started tightening, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, that ain't right. It's going the other way, so that's when I figured out, oh, you have to loosen the x-axis adjustment on the passenger side in order to make it also go to the left. So just needed to move it to the left so it's kind of in the area of the intersection, and then once those two match, we'll go ahead and do the comparison video. Okay, now that I have adjusted the headlights, this is going to be footage you've seen in a previous video that I released by itself, which is just comparing point of view camera from in front of the car and on the hood with the halogens versus the LEDs. And you'll notice the halogen bulbs, they slowly illuminate and deilluminate. And another thing that's interesting is for the POV shot of the car, when the halogens are on low beam, you can see the area in front of the car, and when you flip the high beams on, you can still see the area in front of the car, but now a little bit higher and further. And when we go to LEDs, the low beam, we do see a very bright area in front of the car, but when you switch to high beam, you actually lose some very close, bright footage immediately in front of the car. So that I don't like, but I don't know, it is what it is. And then this is, you know, if you were to flash a car in front of you, the low beam versus the high beam horizon. And then this, of course, is after we've adjusted the headlights on the parking lot here. And now this is the unedited version of a clip you watched in a previous video where I'm driving on the dark highway, now leaving the car show in where I adjusted my headlights. So this is immediately following the adjustment on the wall. And now that I've turned the high beams on, the camera doesn't show exactly how far you can see, but with the human eye, I can actually see way farther than it appears I can on this camera. You will notice that those signs do illuminate from very, very far away and then reflect the light back. And it looks like, oh, that's just the signs you can see really far away. No, you can actually see the trees and like everything from that same distance, just the camera doesn't pick it up as well. But one thing that is interesting is when you flip it back to the low beams like we have here, you can see the area immediately in front of the car, and it is bright, and the naked eye, it looks, I mean, that part looks almost like it's daylight. And when you flip it to that, now the high beams, that goes away, that really bright area in front of the car. But let me tell you, in this mode, the camera does not do it justice, because I can see so far ahead of me and so high, it is insane. It is crazy. There's actually a bunch of trees to the left and right of this road. I can see the tops of the trees. I can see everything in the trees. It's very bright. And then when you flip the low beams on, you can see everything right in front of you. Very bright. So I do like them for that. I just wish there was a way that when you activated the high beams, the low beam would stay illuminated, and that way you could actually see everything. So I think what I'm going to have to end up doing is wiring that LED light bar, putting it on the push bar, and then either wiring it to the high beam circuit, so when I flip the high beams on, the high beams will do their thing, and then I can use that LED light bar to kind of supplement where the low beams would be aiming normally. Or I'll just wire it into the car with another manual switch. That way, if I really wanted to, I could turn the light bar on manually and use only that, or I could use that with the low beams also for like super duper ultra mega brightness, or turn on the high beams, and if I for some reason didn't want the area right in front of me illuminated, I wouldn't turn the light bar on. But I don't know yet. We'll burn that bridge when we get there, but I'll go ahead and shut up for the rest of the video then, and you can get an idea of your opinions on these Nilight LED headlights for the Crown Vic. And there you have it, boys. That is the comparison 44 halogen versus LED low beams in the exact same areas. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.